Hi, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to connect a keypad to your Centurion gate motor. For example, here is a pedestrian keypad. So what it does is it only opens the gate a certain amount which you can set, and you might want one outside as well. Right, in this installation I'm just going to be using the Centurion SmartGuard keypad. You do not have to use this one, you can use any other keypad. I've just put 2 screws here because this is the internal one, but obviously in your case you should put 4. You could drill through here if you don't want your wires to be exposed, and it's got a rubber seal over there. Now in my case you can see I've got 2 cables coming in here. That's because I've got another circuit which is to do with an alarm sensor, so don't worry about that. But all you need to pay attention to are the wires that I'm going to show now. Alright, so the keypad needs a positive and negative. You can see that I've connected the positive and negative over there. Then because this is internal, I just use the relay for the trigger. Obviously that's not very safe, because if someone could just open these wires and short those 2 together, then it will send a trigger to your gate to open. But this is on the internal part of the property, so it's fine. I just use that as a trigger. You can see in this case I'm using yellow as my trigger wire. Common is still going to be green. You can see I've got the green wire there to common, and I'm just using the normally open connection here. Right, just to demonstrate how this works, I've got my meter on the common and the normally open, and as you can see my meter is saying offline, so it means that it is an open circuit. And when I put in the user code, you'll see that it closes the relay, and that effectively puts the signal wire to ground. Right, if you listen carefully, you will hear it. Right, that was it. So it just pulses it. You can set that pulse width if you want. Doesn't only have to be that short. Right, then I just cut that away with side cutters. Remember, in your case, if you drill through here, you won't have to cut that away, and that'll be ideal. And then you put your 2 screws here. And then just your cover. Right, to connect the keypads to the controller, it's very simple. It was just the 4 wires, so it needs power. So it is red and black for 24 volts and common. I prefer to use the 24 volt for the Centurion products because the keypad can handle 24 volts. Some keypads will not handle 24 volts. Then you must use the 12 volt output for the powering of your keypad. The black is the common. Do you remember I was using the relay output on the keypad? While the common of the relay is connected here to common. So the green wire is connected here. And then over here, the signal wire happens to be yellow, and that is connected to IO2. Does not have to be on IO2. You can choose an input-output terminal that you want. I've just chosen IO2. And then if you see, I've got another wire here. The reason for this wire is, do you remember I have 2 keypads? So the one keypad from outside is sitting here, and the one keypad from inside is sitting here. You should now have noticed that the black and the green wire are actually the same wire. So you do not have to have 4 wires. You can just use 3 wires for your keypad. Now what you'll need to do is set it up on the app. So using the app, you press the 3 dots, you go to settings, you'll now go to gate triggers. Right, I now select pedestrian, and you can have a look here. It says IO2. You can select the input-output terminal you wish. Now it asks me modes of operation. I like the condominium option. You can have a look at the other options available. Now it's asking you fully open position. This is very important. How far do you want the gate to open when you put your user code in? As you can see, I've set mine to 1 meter. The running speed, at the moment, mine is just on the maximum. You can make the gate open and close at a lower running speed. But keeping in mind the gate slows down quite considerably as it gets closer to the final end position, so you're not going to get the 35 meters per minute. Auto close, so I've put mine for 5 seconds, and there are some other settings here which you can go through. Once you've done that, you exit, and it will transfer and update the controller. So what the keypad does, all it's doing is it's like somebody taking a jumper and shorting out the common and IO2. For example, if I do that right now, you can see that it's activated itself as though it was a pedestrian keypad input. To set up the keypad is straightforward, and I have a video on my YouTube playlist under Centurion. However, I have added this part of the video from an older video explaining how to set up the keypad. This is just a summary of how to set up the keypad. Okay, most people will use channel 1. The channel 1 is the relay as I've just shown. So I'm going to now code this using just the relay output. Now, if you bought this brand new, the master code, that is the code that allows you to change all the settings here and add users, delete users, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means in order to get to the programming menu, you have to start with a star, 1, 2, 3, 4 star. Now that means that you are now in the programming menu. So the first thing you'd want to do is change that master code. Obviously, it's important to do that because if you do not change that code, that means that even if you've set user code, somebody could come with the default master code and then change all the parameters and obviously get into your house or office. To change the master code, you go as follows. You put in the original factory default master code. So it is star, 1, 2, 3, 4 star. Now you put a 0 hash and then 0 hash. The last 0 hash is telling you the address where you're storing it, and now your new code. Let's do 4 nines. 1, 2, 3, 4 hash. So I've effectively changed the master code to 4 nines. Let's test the old master code. Star, 1, 2, 3, 4 star. You see, nothing happened. Right, let's test the new code, which is 4 nines. Star. Can you see it's taking me into the programming menu? So I've now effectively changed the master code. That also means that that master code is also a user. Did you see when I said the address and we installed or wrote that code 999 to address 0? Address 0 being your first user code. If you just use your master code, now it is also a user code. Look. Can you see there, it actually activated as a user code. Now, obviously, you want to give additional users codes. So now I'll show you how to give or add user codes one by one. Now, you'll need to know the master code, which in this case is 4 nines. You also need to know where you're going to be storing it in terms of the address. So do you remember when we did the master code, we installed it we wrote that to 0. Address 0. Well, there are 999 addresses excluding the master code one. So altogether you can have 1,000 addresses. So let's do the next user at address 1. So when I'm going to code this, you'll see that I'm going to write it to address 1. Now I've put the instructions side by side so you can see what I'm doing and you can see what I'm talking about. So it is star, master code star. So you put your master code in, then it says add menu. Which menu are you going to? 1. 1 is the menu for adding users. 2 is the menu for deleting users. 3 is the menu for doing the channel, the output timer. You'll see there is 3. 4 is the security or the anti-hack parameter. And 5 is again the key wipeout time. Now most people are just going to be using 1, 2, and 3. Right, so let's follow it. It is star master code. We are adding a user code, so it's 1 hash. Which address are we going to put it to? Well, let's put it to the first address. Well, actually the second, because 0 was the first, so address 1. The code you want to use. The channel you're going to be writing to. Mostly we'll be using channel 1. And then how many accesses do you want? I want infinite. And hash, hash, done. So when it asks me how many accesses I want, that tells you how many times the user can put in the code until it stops allowing that user to put in the code. So if you wanted to have, say, a maid code or a security company or whatever it is, maybe they can only come into your premises twice. Well, then you would have put 2 there, giving this thing the ability to lock out or to stop that code having the ability to work with this keypad. It'll just be a dead code. Right, let's test it. There we go. So that is the code I've just added. Right, I'm going to add one more code. I'm now going to add a new user code. I'm going to put it as 41. So the code will be 1111. And where am I going to put that? I'm going to put that to address 2. I'm going to then show you it works, and then I'm going to show you how to delete that exact code. Right, let's do it. Right, I'm now going to add a user code with 4 ones. I'm going to the add menu. I'm now going to choose an address. I'm now going to add the user code. What is the code? I'm now going to choose the channel. How many times do you want this code to work? Infinite, then just press hash. Done. Right, let's test that code. There we go. Now I want to delete that same code. Now this is why it's a good idea to write these down, or you can connect this up and download all the codes. Now I know that I stored that at address 2, so I'm just going to go and directly delete that user code. I just want to show you that there was a user code called 4 ones. There we go, and I'm going to delete that user code. So I've got to first go master code, menu 2 for deleting, the address you want to delete, finished. Now I'll show you that code is gone. You see it does not respond, code is gone.